back to another Chef Sawyer Sunday, best day of the week. I got a fantastic video coming in for everybody. So here we're gonna be doing a very classic surf and turf. I got our nice porterhouse here. I got some lobster tails, some asparagus. You can't go wrong. I got all the ingredients here for a loaded twice baked potato. That's right, you heard me. Loaded twice baked potato. Our loaded twice baked potato is gonna go ahead and have some bacon in there, extra sharp white cheddar, and some sour cream, heavy cream, and a little bit of garlic. And what these are gonna do is make it extra creamy. You guys are gonna see when I go ahead and throw it together for you. Let's start now. First step, what takes the longest? Baking our potato. So I got a nice russet here, and I'm just gonna go ahead, cover it in a little bit of oil, olive oil, and some salt. That's gonna go right into our oven that we have set at 400 degrees, and it's gonna take approximately 30 minutes. One more important thing to do is take a fork, poke a couple holes in there so that our potatoes do not explode into a nuclear bomb on us. That's it. Second step in what takes the longest is breaking down our lobster tails. So here I have about some 4-ounce lobster tails, any size works. And you're gonna go ahead and take your kitchen shears, important tool. You're gonna stick them right in the beginning of the tail and just slice your way up all the way to the last knuckle on both of the tails. There's sections on the bottom of the lobster tail that are a little bit hard. We're gonna go ahead and break these just by pushing them down. That's gonna help us remove all of the meat from the tail. Pushing down right here. Be careful when you're handling your lobster. It's a very spiky animal. You could get hurt. You may wanna wear gloves doing this. After we go ahead and break them all on the bottom, you can open up your tail gently and just with your fingers, peel the meat away from the wall. It's gonna have some resistance. It's stuck on there pretty good. But if you're nice and patient and gentle with it, you can go ahead and just take that whole tail out of there. And now you have the empty shell, you have the tail full of meat, and you just place it back on top. This is exactly how fancy restaurants are preparing your lobster, so it looks beautiful on that plate, just like this. Gently insert my fingers, be as delicate as I can while I handle the lobster. You certainly don't want to mishandle such an expensive ingredient. Clean it of any debris or any sand or any small particles of shell you see, and boom, that's our finished lobster tails right there. After you have your lobster tails ready to go, you can just take some butter, about a couple tablespoons, nothing too crazy. Put it in your favorite microwavable dish with a little bit of garlic, and we're just gonna microwave that until it's melted. Here I have our beautiful garlic butter. Smells absolutely fantastic. Lay that right over the top of your lobster tails. You can give these a brush with the garlic butter before and after they cook. And just a little bit of salt is all you need on such a beautiful piece of meat. That looks fantastic. Okay, our potato just finished roasting, and I can tell because it's what we call knife tender, which is where I can pierce it gently with a little bit of resistances. So here's exactly how we're gonna make our baked potato into a twice baked, double stuffed potato extravaganza. We're gonna take our hot potato and we're gonna slice it from top to bottom of the tallest points, because when we have our two potato halves, we want them to have some width to them. And scoop out the insides. You don't want to go too deep, not all the way down to the skin. You still want there to be some good texture on the potato itself. But you're gonna make a little bit of a well so that you can stuff it with our delicious filling we are about to make. You're basically gonna be leaving a hollowed out shell, kind of like a boat. All right, to our hot scooped out insides of our baked potato, we're just gonna go ahead and add some butter, some heavy cream, a little garlic, some sour cream. That's gonna have a nice, rich, creamy effect on these potatoes. Here's some chopped bacon and some freshly shredded, extra sharp white cheddar. Some salt and some pepper. Mash until it's all incorporated. You're basically looking for a mashed potato type filling. The hot potatoes are gonna melt the cheese, the sour cream, everything's gonna come together really nice once it's all mashed together. If you guys have a potato masher, even better. You don't have to be so fancy with it. You don't need super fine, silky potatoes. Chunky is good, especially in this application, where we're gonna stuff it back inside of our potato skins and bake it again. That looks pretty mashed and incorporated to me. I'm just gonna taste it for seasoning. Just a little more salt, but besides that, it's perfect. I'm getting good bacon in this, I'm getting good garlic. The cheese is really nice. And the best part, we're gonna add some more cheese and bacon on top. So now take your mashed potato filling, stuff it right back into these potato skins. We want it overflowing out the top, a nice generous amount. And what's great about these, you get everything satisfying about a baked potato. They're soft, they're chewy, they're warm, they're cheesy. But then it just goes one step further because the bacon, the garlic, it's like the ultimate comfort food. We're gonna go ahead with more crispy bacon on top because why not? This is an ultimate steak dinner. And in my opinion, the ultimate steak dinner holds copious amounts of bacon and cheese. So more bacon on top and more extra sharp white cheddar on top. And now we're gonna go ahead and pop these bad boys back in the oven until they're melted, gooey, crispy, ooey deliciousness. For a deluxe steak dinner, asparagus is a must. So normally you would cut off about an inch up on the asparagus, which is fine, that's totally okay to do. But for a nice large size asparagus like this, you don't want any waste. I'm gonna cut off the very ends of the stems because these are gonna be woody and hard. In order to preserve the natural size of our asparagus, we're just gonna peel with a vegetable peeler around the outside. And this is gonna keep your asparagus large and whole, and you won't have to worry about any of the toughness of the stem. So that is a beautifully trimmed piece of asparagus. I'm just gonna go ahead and do that for my whole pile here. It's a labor of love, but it's worth it. I have all of the asparagus here. You can see nice, still long pieces with plenty of, I don't know, it sounds weird when I say edible flesh, but I don't want to say meat either. Not much waste at all, just that tiny little knob on the end. And very simple, we're gonna keep it. A drizzle of olive oil, extra virgin, a sprinkle of salt, a sprinkle of pepper, and I have a lemon cut up here. We're gonna use half now, before it cooks, and we're gonna put the other half on right as it comes out of the oven. And now this is gonna go into a very hot oven to roast just until it's soft and tender. 400 degrees, I'm gonna go about 10 minutes and we'll see, we'll check on it how it is then. If you guys have a grill, grilling it is an excellent way to cook it as well. But for the sake of ease, everything is going in the oven today. Here's our porterhouse. And a porterhouse is basically just a thicker T-bone steak. This is the T that they usually refer to. It's like the big cartoon steaks you see that are massive. So on one side of the bone, this is a filet mignon, and on this side is a New York strip. And that's why I love the porterhouse, because you get the best of both worlds. Can't choose which steak you want. This one gives you two of the best. Season it with a little bit of olive oil, rub it in, make sure you get both sides. A generous amount of salt and pepper on both sides, especially when your steak is thick like this one is. So we're gonna start our steak off in the pan with just a little bit of olive oil. And then we're gonna sear it very hard on a very high heat. And when the steak is almost done cooking, we're gonna add the butter, rosemary and our thyme, and the garlic. And that's gonna make a nice flavored butter that we're gonna baste our steak with. And the reason why we don't add all of these things early is because the garlic will burn and the butter has a very low smoke point, which means if we need the heat to be high for the steak, the butter can't reach that temperature without filling your house with smoke. All right, we have our pan heating up for our steak. I have it on maximum heat. A nice thick cast iron pan is what I suggest because cast iron is able to retain the heat very well. Once you're getting ready to start cooking your steak is when you can go ahead and pop the lobster in the oven. I have everything going at 400 degrees today. A steak this size will take about 10 minutes to cook, and lobster tails, 4 ounces, 5 ounces, 3 ounces, they'll take about 10 minutes to cook as well. So we want everything to finish at the same time. We're gonna pop our lobster tails in the oven and we're gonna start working on our steak immediately. I see there's smoke coming off of my pan. It's screaming hot. Go ahead, add a little bit of oil and then take your steak and throw it right in gently. I always take my tongs or my cooking utensils and push down to make sure the steak has full contact with the pan and that you're gonna get a great sear. Just leave it there undisturbed on the high heat and let the steak develop a nice crust, have a great Maillard reaction. As soon as you see your cheese on top of your potato is melted and getting a little brown and crispy, perfect, that's done. Pull that out of the oven. Everything else just needs a couple more minutes. We're gonna check the underside of our steak, see how our crust is looking. Oh, that looks great. That's a perfect time to flip. You can see I only really missed one little patch right here, but everything else is hard and crispy, and that's exactly how you want a steak to be. I just checked our asparagus and I can tell it's soft and ready to go. Just a couple more minutes on the steak and then we put it all together. You can see the steak has a beautiful sear on both sides. I went ahead and I cut the heat off because the pan is going to retain so much heat. And now we add our rosemary and our thyme, our butter. Let the butter get nice and flavored and melt with these herbs. We can go ahead and add our garlic now. Now, we're going to put our steak at the top of the pan. We're going to tilt the pan downward to us so we can just take our flavored butter and baste our steak. It smells so good in here, I wish you guys could smell it. If you make this yourself at home, you can smell it. And let's show love to both sides, okay? Don't neglect one side for the other. Tilt your pan, get all that good, buttery deliciousness. Keep throwing it right over top. That's looking perfect. I have the heat completely off at this point because our steak is going to continue to carry over cook. The way you tell the doneness of your steak, you can do it with a thermometer, but what a secret they don't tell you about is this. The way the texture of your palm feels here is the texture of raw meat. Now when you go like this is rare. Every time you move over one finger, your muscle gets tighter and harder. So if this is raw, this is rare, this is medium rare, that's about the texture I like to feel for. I like a medium rare. So you connect your thumb and your middle finger and you feel the texture here and then you feel the texture on your steak and they should be very similar. If you like your steak well done, just go ahead and touch it to your pinky. Since your thumb is reaching so far, your muscle tenses up, that's very hard. That's what you're looking for if you like well done. Our lobster tails just finished in the oven. And as promised, here's a little bit more of that good, delicious garlic butter for the top. You can't go wrong with that. One more pinch of salt for it. All right, we have our beautiful asparagus here. Let's just go ahead and take all of these, line them up on our nice tray. Beautiful. We're just gonna hit the asparagus with a little fresh lemon juice after it's done cooking and a little extra salt because I tasted for seasoning. I noticed it needed a little more. And now it's completely perfect. Here's our Porterhouse steak. I've allowed it some time to rest. You don't want to slice it too early after cooking or all the juices will run out of it. And I'm just going to go ahead and carve out the steaks from the bone. First up, the filet mignon. I'm going to take my knife, carve right along the bone, and just come over and get that off. Boom, filet is done. You can see a perfect medium rare inside. Now for the New York strip. Stand it up. Get your knife going in right where the bone starts and now carve down along the bone. Here's our New York strip off the bone. That is a medium rare bordering on the edge of rare, which for me is perfectly okay. And now I'm gonna go ahead and slice these steaks up. And if you ask me, that's a perfectly done steak right there. Let's see a nice middle cut. Doesn't get much better than that. All right, here's our beautiful board with our asparagus and our twice baked potato. It's looking great, but we're not even done yet. We'll put the bone back on there. We'll put the sliced steak right back into the bone where it was originally. So we have the filet mignon here. I'll go ahead and scoop up the whole strip. Gonna go ahead, throw it right in the bone. I'll take a couple of pieces from the inside, throw it up top to symbolize how well this steak has been cooked. We have our beautiful platter with our asparagus, our steak, our loaded baked potatoes. And what could possibly make that better than a few lobster tails? I have the answer for that. Absolutely nothing. The piece de resistance is our flavored butter we cooked our steak in, that garlic herb butter, going right back top over the steak. And a nice pinch of some smoky finishing salt on top. Voila! My masterpiece is finished. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A beautifully cooked, thick porterhouse steak. Fresh lobster tails. Homemade, twice baked, stuffed, loaded baked potatoes, and some roasted asparagus. This is the absolute ultimate steak dinner deluxe. I didn't know what to say next. And you two now know how you can put it together exactly like how a master chef does it. Go ahead and give this video a like, a comment, a subscription. Thanks for coming back week after week to support me. Go ahead and make this one at home. Impress everybody you know. Thank you guys for coming back, and I'll see you again next Sunday. Ciao.